Okay, the firstborn daughter placed herself right behind them with a hand on either shoulder. When I asked the second-born daughter where she fit in the family, she came up and separated these two.
Oh, great.
And hung in the middle. Can you separate them? And it was really close to Dad, so grab Dad's arm. Grab Dad's arm. Okay. Okay, and you're kind of looking at him, and you're trying to get in just a little bit. Okay. Now, this daughter worked in the family firm, and her husband was the general manager, and so we need the spouse of the firstborn daughter. So that looks like a J. So Jay, you're over this way. Yeah. And when we did this, we realized that we were in trouble here. We found some difficulty. There's a distance between these spouses, and we'll talk about that later. But
I'd just like to add this, Don, is that the son-in-law, the first son-in-law, used to work in the family business. And used to work in the family business. Used to work in the family business.
I got the wrong guy here. This is the first from the firstborn daughter. So just stand here, Jay, and we'll get the second spouse. Yeah, sorry, I got the wrong one. This is from the second-born.
I always thought you were.
So you'd be looking. Okay, and I'll place. Let me place you over here.
Wow.
And they actually have two residences with the firstborn daughter and the spouse.
And he had there was an alcohol issue. Do you drink? Do you drink? I only do excess.
Okay.
And seriously, the alcohol issue tempered with some differences of opinion. He decided that he was no longer willing to be part of that family business, and the father decided that he didn't want him to be in the family business. Obviously, the daughter is still very much interested in her father, but that's one of the issues.
Okay.
That's why he put himself over here.
And the third-born is the son, and he placed himself behind all of these folks. Okay. We've got two sons. The stepmother.
Yeah. The third-born son, I might add, is an employee of the company, and he sort of comes to work when he wants to come to work, and it's not highly regarded by his brother-in-law, who actually runs the business. The day-to-day management of that business is run by you. Yes, you. So it's important that you get a feel for why he's so close, because he's actually running the business, the day-to-day operation of the business.
Yeah. Now, when we met with this family, when Carl brought me in, the firstborn daughter's spouse didn't come. So we didn't even get to meet him. He's that far out of it. And neither did, even though there was poor communication, I suppose, let's have the firstborn and the secondborn son of the stepmother. Come on over here, you guys, if you don't mind.
Now, these two gentlemen are the sons of Linda. And I met with him privately, and they never met with the family, ever.
Okay. So if you could just for the moment just look at the family portrait, and keep in mind this is where they place themselves in relationship to other people. So people are not making much contact, although it kind of looks like a family portrait. As Carl mentioned, the son, the only son, really has a strange relationship with his father, and the father talked about, you know, when he was younger, he wouldn't go fishing with him. He wasn't an outdoors kind of kid, and so they have quite a distant relationship. The son is in a lot of pain, and anyway, there's a lot of pain in the family. Is that how you want to leave that, Carl?
Yeah, I think I'll leave it that way. I just wanted to add one thing. When Don and I came by about 6 months later, what happened was that this nice fellow that really does a good job of running the business, I might add, decided that there were some relationship issues that he had not managed to conclude prior to his marriage. And he was pursuing those relationships. And when Don and I met with these people, one of the issues, and one of the reasons I brought Don in, one of the issues was that he was no longer living with his wife, was living with yet somebody else. And his wife, however, is also actively engaged in the business. So here you have a wife and husband that were living together. Now the wife still works in the business, he still works in the business. Is there change in this family?
And let me say this. I mean, this is not unusual for spouses and people to have difficulties with each other. You know, part of the sculpting, what that kind of showed too, was it's not a new thing that the second-born daughter is that attached to the father. I mean, that's the way it's been. So it's been real hard, just from a visual point of view, for those two to get together because of the kind of the lack of separation as an adult from the father. I mean, there's all these things could be part of it. It's just very complicated kind of a situation. And this is the system, the family system in which Carl and Fred need to do their work, need to do their estate financial planning work. Which makes it
exactly. And what I'm asking you to do is, do you see how easy it would be for anyone to come in and judge that? Now, my role, as I see it, is to represent who? What is my role? To represent who? The father? Okay, let's get the CPA up here for just a moment. Is there a mic over there that we could let this, Mr. CPA use? Now, just to give you some background, you have represented this father for forever, 20 plus years. When you give him advice, who are you giving advice to? The father, or to the mother, or to the family, or what's your perception? What do you see your role as a really trusting person to this family?
Well, the main advice is to the father.
Okay, all right. So let us know that the main advice here, and I think that would be typical of most CPAs. And where's the attorney at? Yes. Who are you representing in this family?
The one that pays the bills. Father.
All right. The person who writes the checks. Okay, we have a financial person here. Wayne, is it? Yeah, Wayne. No. Who are you representing here?
Well, I would see my role the same way, as advising the father, but also how that impacts the entire family.
Okay. All right. So do we get a sense here that objectivity is for who? The father. And how does that play out in terms of these other relationships? And when will that time bomb come into being? Let's assume that the father dies and he does or doesn't have a will. Set that aside. Where will probably 1/2 of his property go to, at least? Yeah, and if they owned it in joint tenancy, it's conceivable that Linda's going to get all of it. Whose allegiance does Linda have to who? To those two? Hey. And in the event of a common disaster, automobile accident, who is going to represent the estate?